What in the hell is going on with Scottie Pippen? I've always liked Scottie Pippen. He's always been a reserved, quiet dude, never outspoken. Far as I know, never come close to being woke. He's always been looked at as one of the nice guys in the NBA, up until recently anyway. Lately, it seems that Scottie Pippen is on a damn mission to make as many enemies as possible. He's gone after Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, and now he's going after Phil Jackson. I'm just speculating here, but I think this is all publicity for his book coming out later this year. I believe it comes out in November. Now, I'm not going to lie. It should be an interesting read. I'll be downloading the Kindle version and reading it myself. I mean, Scottie Pippen, he's got to have some interesting stories to tell. When they did The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary last year, that entire series was filmed through the lens of Michael Jordan, from his perspective. Which is fine. It was his documentary. I'm sure that Scottie Pippen is going to refute a lot of stuff in that documentary in his book. But if I'm right, and he is looking for publicity, looking to prop up book sales by going after everyone publicly, I just think it's the wrong approach. At least in the way Scottie Pippen's doing it. It's one thing to bring publicity by negatively attacking people, Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson. I mean, that will work. That will increase sales. I mean, for some reason, we love negativity in this country. But when you go woke and you start calling Phil Jackson a racist, you are going to turn a lot of people off. We have seen the same story time and time again. How many times have we seen someone or something go woke and immediately begin to decline? Hell, the NBA and ESPN are perfect examples of this. Both have struggled in the ratings since they made the decision to go woke. Let's go ahead and jump into what Scottie Pippen had to say about Phil Jackson. And let me give you a little context first. Back in 1994, this was the first year the Bulls were playing without Michael Jordan. Chicago's in the playoffs. I believe it was a second-round series, if I'm not wrong. I believe it was a second-round series against the Knicks, but I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. The game is down to the final seconds. Phil Jackson is drawing up a play on the sidelines, and he decides to give Tony Kukoc the final shot of the game, potential game-winning shot. This pisses off Scottie Pippen. He felt that he was the superstar on the team now that Michael Jordan was gone. The Bulls were his team now, and he felt that he deserved to take the final shot of the game. When Phil Jackson decided to go with Tony Kukoc instead, Scottie Pippen pulls himself out of the game. He quit on his team in the playoffs. Biggest mistake of his career, no doubt about it. But if you have seen The Last Dance, then you already know that Scottie Pippen said if he had to do it all over again, he would make the same decision. In an interview with GQ, Scottie Pippen, unprovoked, told what he thought was the reason that Phil Jackson went with Kukoc instead of him. Quote, "I don't think it's a mystery. You need to read between the fine lines. It was my first year playing without Michael Jordan. Why wouldn't I be taking the last shot? I've been through all the ups and downs, the battles with the Pistons, and now you're going to insult me and tell me to take it out? I thought it was a pretty low blow. I felt like it was an opportunity to give Kukoc a rise. It was a racial move to give him a rise. After all I've been through with this organization, now you're going to tell me to take the ball out and throw it to Tony Kukoc? You're insulting me. That's how I felt." End quote. This is so ridiculous. You know what I find insulting? Scottie Pippen turning a smart basketball decision into a racial decision. Once again, and these damn wokers, they don't seem to understand this, but not everything has to do with race. Matter of fact, most things, most decisions have nothing to do with race, including this one. I'm about to explain to you why Phil Jackson made the decision to go with Tony Kukoc over Scottie Pippen. And this is really simple. I mean, this is simple basketball 101. Tony Kukoc was a horrible defender. He really was. Most players that come over from Europe into the NBA, they are horrible defenders because they don't really play defensive basketball in Europe. However, Tony Kukoc was a great shooter, especially from deep. Throughout the 1994 season, He was the go-to guy in late game situations. He had already made several buzzer beaters during the regular season. Now it's funny. Scottie Pippen never had a problem with it during the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, with the eyes of America on you, then all of a sudden Scottie Pippen wants to step up and be that guy. He wants to be the closer. Sometimes I hear people compare LeBron James to Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was an innovator. He was the first real point forward in the NBA, but there is a huge difference between Scottie Pippen and LeBron James. Scottie Pippen's greatest strength was he was a facilitator. He was not a great scorer. His strength was getting everyone else involved, creating open shots, getting them open looks. He was never the guy that you depended on to make a last-second shot. It's just not who he was. Now, we've seen LeBron James make game winners throughout his career. Phil Jackson going with Tony Kukoc, it was the right call. Obviously, it was the right decision. Tony Kukoc made the game-winning shot. But it had absolutely nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with him taking the spotlight off of Scottie Pippen and giving Tony Kukoc a rise because he was white. And that's just absurd. Another thing, I don't remember Scottie Pippen being pissed off when the Bulls decided to go with Steve Kerr in the 97 finals. I believe it was the 97 finals. I mean, Steve Kerr, he's white. Hell, Steve Kerr had been struggling most of that postseason. At least if you were going to make an argument against Phil Jackson about race, you'd have a stronger case making it with Steve Kerr instead of Tony Kukoc. Scottie Pippen then said that Phil Jackson took advantage of black players throughout his career and explained how Phil tried to expose Kobe Bryant. He referenced the book that Phil Jackson released after his first stint with the Lakers and how he didn't have a lot of good things to say about Kobe Bryant in the book. Again, nothing to do with race. Kobe Bryant was very similar to Michael Jordan in that both were notoriously hard to play with. They were hard to coach. They expected the same greatness, the same work ethic that they had out of everybody else on the team. That's how the entire beef started between Kobe and Shaq. Kobe thought Shaq was lazy. I mean, Kobe was hard to play with. Now, Phil Jackson, he did go after Kobe in his book, but that's how he felt at the time. I guess maybe you could say he exposed Kobe Bryant, but that's what people do when they write books. They give you their truth. Scottie Pippen is a damn hypocrite in this situation because he's doing the same thing to Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson that he's accusing Phil Jackson of doing to Kobe Bryant. Scottie Pippen is writing a book exposing what went on behind the scenes in Chicago from his perspective. There's nothing wrong with it. How in the hell, though, explain this to me. How can he call out Phil Jackson when Scottie Pippen's doing the same thing? It just doesn't make any sense. This is a bad look for Scottie Pippen. People are tired of hearing about race. You are not going to increase book sales by pulling the race card. People are sick of it. Calling someone a racist, it just doesn't mean anything anymore. It has lost all meaning because the word's been overused. Wokers have called so many people racist that people just don't believe it anymore. It's like the boy who cried wolf or the woker who cried racist. Now, Scottie Pippen also claimed that Michael Jordan acted for the cameras. And he gave a couple of examples. I'm not getting into it because who really gives a damn? People say a lot of things about Michael Jordan. I'm sure the same thing will happen with Tom Brady once he retires. But here's the thing. Say what you want about Michael Jordan. You can't argue with success. You can't argue against 6 rings, 2 three-peats. No one had done it before, and no one's been able to do it since. Michael Jordan set ratings records for the NBA. They have never recaptured the audience they lost when Michael Jordan retired. If anything, you would think that Scottie Pippen would be grateful for playing with Michael Jordan. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened with his career. Scottie Pippen was a great player, don't get me wrong. But he is not winning 6 rings without Michael Jordan. Hell, he never made it back to the NBA Finals without Jordan. This is just my opinion, but I think Scottie Pippen is bitter. I think he holds a lot of resentment. He doesn't get the credit that he feels he deserves for that Bulls dynasty. And I still think he has a lot of bitterness about being underpaid. Scottie Pippen was the most underpaid player in the NBA for years. He signed a 7-year contract back in the early 90s before the NBA blew up and took off. Now, he was advised not to sign it. Hell, Jerry Reinsdorf, the Bulls owner, told Scottie Pippen, don't sign this contract. This is a bad contract. But Scottie Pippen wanted the 7-year deal because he wanted security. Well, after the NBA blew up, he wanted to renegotiate, and Jerry Reinsdorf was like, no, not doing it. You signed the deal. So Scottie Pippen, he got his security, and he lost millions of dollars in the process. There is no such thing as security, by the way, and Scottie Pippen learned that the hard way. I'll be honest, I'm disappointed in Scottie Pippen for pulling the race card, going woke, if you will, but nothing like this surprises me anymore. It seems like every day we have a new woker emerge and do something like this. Now, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Scottie Pippen calling Phil Jackson a racist? Will this cause you not to buy his book when it comes out later this year? Sound off in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.